We're starting now Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach Maseches Demai, and we're doing Daf Yud Beis. It's a little bit complicated, it's mathematical, but hopefully Be'ez Hashem will understand it well. Ma'ay l'gboya sheni b'makom rishon. What is the halacha if you can be kaveh sheni b'makom rishon? What does it mean? It means you already made this into Ma'aser Rishon, and then he's saying the same thing should turn now into Ma'aser Sheni. That after the pidyon, you put the Ma'aser Rishon, and then you want that to become Ma'aser Sheni. Mara says it's not a problem at all. Why should it be a problem? Mara says a story. We did this already last time. Now I'll go to the next sugya. Ulabay Shmo Shavyechen poita adam as tivloi b'soach shel tevel. Ketzdi ois mei soach shel tevel v'ois ois sheni. Here is a different story. First he makes it into a sheni. So he has that's all should fix up tevel. And then then he turns that into meiser, then he takes trumas meiser. So this is already more complicated, what's happening here. First he is turning this into a meiser sheni. He's taking off, let's assume he has 10 pounds, he's taking off 1 pound from meiser sheni. And then he's poiser, and then he makes that pound into meiser rishon. What is the issue? We just have to focus before we start the sugya. What is the problem? What's the real problem here? The real problem is that part of the Ma'aser Sheni is tevel. That's the real problem. Because Ma'aser Sheni is only okay to eat or to be poida and then eat the Yerushalmi or eat here if that portion was already separated upon that Ma'aser Rishon. Here you're making Ma'aser Sheni before the separation of Ma'aser Rishon. So the issue here is, the problem is, how can you eat that Ma'aser Sheni? It's Tovul la Ma'aser Rishon. That's the legal name, how we have to call that. That piece of Ma'aser Sheni has in itself a certain amount of tevel, of requires a separation of Ma'aser Rishon upon it. That's so now we'll get into more details. How do we solve this problem, or maybe we could actually solve it. We can just take so take a tenth from that Ma'aser Rishon and separate Ma'aser Rishon on that. That's a very simple solution. We'll see. They did not like this whole mahalach. It says in the Mishnah that you cannot do this. Mishnah says we have 2 baskets of tevel. That is 2 and 2/9. It's a fancy way of saying 2/9. 2.2222. That's how much you have to take. Suda shadusa. According to your theory, we don't need that. What could we do? We could take 1 te'ena and make that sheni, and then the same te'ena turn it into ma'aser. So this needs an explanation, and we'll explain it here. The Mishnah. So first of all, what you do before you start anything, Reishis Koil. I'm going to write Reishis Koil. Reishis Noitel 1.111. That means 1 on 9. We call Kol Hashniya. Masakin Ten Shana. That's what the Mishnah says you should do. In order to make 10 figs okay, you have to separate 1 and a ninth. That's mathematically the way to do it, because you have to do 10 times 10 ninths. And then you make 10 times 10 ninths times 9 tenths, it's equal to the original 10. So in order to get 10 te'enim that are okay, you have to separate 10. So what you do is you start off with 10 times 10 ninths, that is 1 and a ninth. 1 and a ninth is Masakin 10 te'enim. Now, next is number 1. Then, I don't want to write B, I don't want to confuse people. I'm going to write V'achikach to make it more clear. V'achikach, the second step, Noitel Oid 1.11 like a Kol Hashniya. Masakin Ten Shana Medin Tovel Ma'aser Sheni. Then you take another Meshiv Achich Noitel Oid Apam. I'm going to write Oid Apam to make sure we understand what we're talking about. Okay. So this is what the Mishnah says. You take 1 and a ninth to correct the 10 te'enim from Tovel L'Maiser Rishon, and then you take another 1 and a ninth. Again, you're taking from Tevel, and that's supposed to be Masakin the 10 from Tovel L'Maiser Sheni. Now, Sim Leva. For Rosh is 1.1 and a ninth. The first time you msaken the 1 and a ninth, I can't get rid of this A. Oh, finally. Atrocious 1.111 Masakin Rak Astan Shavushine Lo Yasataina Vachias Taina Shayit Lachikach. Nimtsa Oisa Shain Hifish Tol Might. This is a very important thing to note. No. Oh, can't get rid of this B. Oh. Loyas Taina Achias Loya Achias Taina. So what's happening here is that this Ma'aser Sheni that he takes the second time 1.1 and a ninth, that is Tovel the Ma'aser Rishon. He takes out from a box that's 100% Tovel. He says, okay, I want this 1 and a ninth should be Ma'aser Sheni. I mean, Masakin the 10 that's in this color Rishoina. But however, how can you eat? Let's say you want to take this to Yerushalayim and eat this 1 on the 9th. You can't eat it because we cannot eat Ma'aser Sheni that was not separated Ma'aser Rishon upon that. So I need more than 1 on the 9th. That's what's happening here. More than 1 on the 9th of Ma'aser Sheni. First I have to make 1 on the 9th times 10 ninths, and then that number I can take off from that times 9 tenths, take off from that Ma'aser Rishon, and then I'm left with 1 on the 9th to be Mesaken the 10. Sov Dover. V'gaven Mesnisen Maschel, at the Mishnah story, you start off with 12 and 2 ninths. But it's not a good idea. Because the 1 on the 9th is taught full in the Ma'aser Rishon. So what is the right amount you have to start? With 12.34567. That is it comes out to be 12 and 28/81. That's the mathematical number. Here I explain it in English. As fractions, in order to have 10 figs totally tithed, we must start with 10 times 10 ninths, 10 times 9ths is equal to 12 and 28/81. That's the answer. 10 times 10 ninths times 10 ninths is 12 and 28/81. Then you multiply twice by 9 tenths of both separations to undo the factor of 10 ninths, and you are left with 10. Get back to the final 10 edible facts. However, the Mishnah says that we start only with 12 and 2 ninths figs. 2 ninths is equal to 18/81, so I'm going to write here 18/81. That's what 2 ninths is. 2 ninths is 18/81. 2 times 9 is 18. So we're not starting with the right amount. Then we separate 1 and a 9th to correct only 10 figs. Not the 1 and a 9th that will be separated in a moment. When we separate 1 and a 9th fig for Ma'aser Sheni, then we separate 1 and a 9th fig from Ma'aser Sheni. But this Ma'aser Sheni is Tovul and Ma'aser Rishon. However, we do not worry about it, as we see in the case of Akdomas Ma'aser Sheni L'Rishon. Let's see what I wrote here. Note: we need an extra 10/81 to correct this. This Ma'aser Sheni is Tovul Ma'aser Rishon, and we need an extra 10/81 to correct this Ma'aser Sheni from Tovul. Oh, here it's a bit more clear. We need, after the words Tovul and Ma'aser Rishon, but this Ma'aser Sheni is Tovul and Ma'aser Rishon, and we need an extra 10/81 to correct this Ma'aser Sheni from Tovul Okay, so this is the sugya here, that we bring a raya from this Mishnah from the story from the shekel colors that it's okay. It's okay to if we have Meiser Sheni that's Tovel and Meiser Rishon. Omer Ramona ve'ein Sheni sheberishoyna Tovel Rishon Shem Shniya. Ich mafshna Shniya te'ein Hashem Meiser Sheni. Te'ein az lazy letukan shrei te'ein Rishon tikan v'tovel Meiser Rishon. Rakas kol kola Rishoyna. Lazy te'ein az lazy lekirchan kola Shniya. So we're proving from this that it's okay. Rab Chananya, Tamon, no, Tamon, Rab Chananya, no, it's not a good proof. Tamon there, Kri Shei Toivel Lishan L'Sheni. Okay, we understand that's a din that you don't answer that the Einas Meiser Sheni Mishon Tovel Meiser Rishon. Hocha Sheni Sheniskim Mach Meiser Rishon. What does it mean? Kanyash baya cheres legamre. Eich mashtamish b'zuat te'ena. Shrei hufka memeni din meiser rishon. Shrei miyad shafisha meiser sheni. Hutter hi ba'atzma b'chila. Any tobel meiser rishon. How can you use this te'ena for meiser rishon? That's a kasha. Who says you can do such a thing? That once you make it Meiser Sheni, you should turn that into Meiser Rishon. It's not Tovel Meiser Rishon. There's two issues here. There's two issues. There's an issue of you using the Mishnah there says that you can be Masakan and separate Meiser Sheni, even though this Meiser Sheni is Tovel Meiser Rishon. And we say, okay, this is Exeris HaKosov, but it's not, it's Chal the Chalois. The question is, how can you eat this Meiser Sheni that has in itself a certain type of Tevel? And we should need another 1081s to separate it from that first the Meiser Rishon, and then give that, take it to Yerushalayim. That was our kasha. It shouldn't be enough with 2 and 2 9ths, right? We need a little bit more than 2 and 2 9ths. As we said, we need 2.34 2.345678. That's the amount you need. You have to start off with 12.34 and separate 2.34. That's the amount of total you need to give in order to have a proper, not 12.222, 12.34567. That's how much you need to start off to get everything okay. But what is the issue? The issue is that you are eating Meiser Sheni that's still Tevel. Okay, this is one issue, but there's another issue, a deeper issue. What you are saying from Shem Rabbi Yochanan, that Ule Bar Yishmael says, maybe so Achel Shel Tevel, but Oisa Sheni, and then you make that a Rishon. How can you make a thing that's not Tovel, L'Maiser Rishon, Sheni Shenisken Machmas Rishon? You're claiming that this Sheni is already kosher. If it's kosher, it cannot be masakin anything. That's a much more serious problem. You cannot do any tikkun if that itself is already 100% kosher. Bram Hocha means, I'm going to write here, Bram Hocha means, in the case of begavne de ule This is the question, and it doesn't have an answer. It doesn't have an answer. So to sum up, it's the Gemara here is a little, besides the mathematics, this language here is also interesting, because he starts off, Nachas Ula, what does he start off? Nachas Ula Taman, Omer Shem B'Yochanan, Chabran Aloi. They ganged up against him, that it sees you cannot do it. Yitl Te'ein Achas Yatzer Shen Yitl Shen Alma the Loik Rabbi Yochanan. So it's interesting because we're bringing down this brisa, and it's interesting how we are using this part to say against Rabbi Yochanan and part to say a side note that don't think that this should be a right to Rabbi Yochanan, because this fact that you don't need only 2.22 ta'anim is also the chayra could make a mistake and think it's a particular right to Rabbi Yochanan. So on this, the Gemara says, so this goes on this part that it works. So I'm going to write here, in order to, it shouldn't, it's quite confusing, this sugya, but I say this part. So I'm writing here, Chelik zu Kishya al Ula Shem Rabbi Yochanan. This is what this piece is. Okay, I know it's a little bit marach here, and it's definitely a shver sugya, but I hope Be'ez Hashem that we figured out this sugya. So we did now. Start off with Daf Yud Beis. Let's just finish off already. Shemesh Agar Yisaf Beis Ba'isaf Chayav Demai, the oil that the weaver puts on his fingers. Ma Shasorik Noich Tzemer Pot Demai. It's not on the body. Ma Bezir Zeh Zeh Gufa Bot Zeh Tzemi Bottle. The Gufa is awesome. Ere Devarim is Asrim Demai B'Chol Mokem Afim Loichim B'Chutz La'aretz Chayav Asrim Demai. Stomach Gedalim Minam Aloli Be'eretz Yisrael. Wherever you buy it, you may buy it outside, probably comes from Eretz Yisrael. If you know for sure it comes from Chutz La'aretz, because we know for sure it comes from Chutz La'aretz. Tamatanina, it says there in the Mishnah, Shum Bal Bechi, it comes from Bal Bechi, Botzra Shal Rich Bagos and Kilkin, from Silasi, Ba'asham Esriyas, Tuna Masas, V'kocham Kalodin B'Shviyas. The Minu Enig Deil, Rak B'Chutz La'aretz. It says that these minim you can buy because they for sure come from Chutz La'aretz. Can't mistake them. Minim Allah Adesh Yesh B'Em Ben Be'eretz Yisrael Tzorcha Chom Mem Siman. They are the same garlics and onions. So you say if you know it has Shum Pam Bal Bechi, it's a certain type of garlic. You can see on it. you can see that it comes then you're allowed to buy it. Aber Elzer and Bapistik and Stroib and Asher and Gesro, the Tzachas Siman, for sure it comes from Chutzlaritz. So these things that have an Eretz Yisrael also a counterpart. You need to give some money. That you should know the shum. Not every garlic is no problem. Only garlic that you know for sure from the type and the look of it that it comes from Balbechi. That's Chutzlaritz. So the Gemara Rabbi Oven Adamas Nitach Ilufa. Our Mishnah is just the opposite. What's the opposite in our Mishnah? Our Mishnah goes the other way around. Mishnah says all the things that don't have a siman. Mishnah doesn't say names Shum Balbechi. It says Eid Dvar Mes Asrim Demai B'chol Makoim. Adveiler Atmarim, so it means regular deveiler, standard deveiler, not a special specific kind, is considered customary Eretz Yisrael. Chivim when we're saying Chislar Tzarchon Lev Huski Chomlem, and she's saying the mind of Kolaminish ain't Tzarch Ladas Simanim Eiz Medina Bat the Bam Rak Ma'atz. By us, it's the chiv of these things is if they're standard. There it was the thing Mishnah said that the things that are potter that are exceptions, and here it's the regular is the chiv. They don't grow. They don't grow in Chutz La'aretz. Why? That Mishnah says only specific kinds is potter. Yeah. But Vela Botzra. Botzra is a city of Chutz La'aretz. So why do you say all these things don't need a siman? For sure they're chayiv. There's no question about it. Well, it's like, no, come on, that's not. Don't have to worry about that. Shchike, it's ground. Otam Alexandria, the kikan, it's small. V'char b'viyari, gidu, the small belitas. V'oiz v'chulsa, after yisumaki, it's red. Kam kufris akim. In other words, all these things that Mishnah says, you don't need a siman because there's nothing that's similar to this that's potter. There's nothing that's similar to these Mishnah things for the Veil and tomorrow. Mein Dvar Belis Siman. Okay, this is the very, very long shiur. Its page is Daf 12 and 13. 12 and 13. 12 and 13.